Hello, this is Javi. Welcome to my shop build videos, or as I like to call it, from hoarding to boarding. If you're like me and you've been taught not to be wasteful, chances are you've amassed a small fortune of stuff. Very small fortune. Can't even call it a fortune. Okay, we've established if you're like me, you've amassed stuff. Now that I'm in the prime of my life, I've decided to embrace my favorite passions and spend more time on them. Now, my first passion is singing. And while I may regale you with a tune from time to time, lucky for you, I sing elsewhere. This video is about my woodworking passion. My plan of attack is as follows. I plan to use the attic of the house to house the out-of-sight, out-of-mind items that are rarely used, but necessary to keep around. For example, that cooler that you take to that rare trip to the beach. Or the pool pump that somebody gave you that cost $200 new, but you know your pool pump is going to fail within a couple years, so you might as well keep it around. Let's say you bought a roll of HEPA grade AC filters real cheap, and you cut up that roll to provide you with 5 years of AC filters, and now you have them in this huge monstrous box. Well, that's a great place to store them, up in the attic. The attic will be fully inventoried, so I won't forget what's up there. Oh, my back. The first step in organizing must be sorting. But in order to sort items efficiently, you have to... Hey, that's rude. You have to have the available space. This is the main reason why I'm using my crawl space for certain items. After all, if you take apart a... Again? Really? If you take apart a brick building in order to build a smaller building in the same location, it would be necessary to have a place to actually put the bricks. I gotta clean up a little around here in order to move some of the stuff under the cover of the tent. Temporarily, of course. These are the plywoods I cut for the attic crawl space storage area. I'd like to personally thank my friend Javi Mas, who came by to give me a hand with the workshop move. Javi's a buddy of mine from way back in Little League, and he's always had a fondness for woodworking. Recently, he's asked me to teach him a few woodworking techniques. So I'm going to show him everything I can, and then hopefully, despite my tutelage, he'll learn to do it the right way. One thing the time-lapse doesn't show is how despite the hurried pace and commitment to finish cleaning it out, every 10 minutes or so, when I've emptied out the equivalent of a cargo van, I look back into the room and see that I haven't even scratched the surface. Here's some advice to the pack rat. When cleaning house, and you find yourself in a situation similar to mine, where you've moved beyond organizing your space to fit more stuff, but rather finding it necessary to reduce your valued items, find yourself a friend to share the experience and to give you a hand. Now, this has to be a neutral friend. It cannot be a neat freak or a spouse. That category of person is intent on you dumping everything. You will fight them tooth and nail and will no doubt retract into your cave buried in your own pile of stuff without success. And on the flip side, don't choose a friend who's a bigger pack rat than you are. He'll end up convincing you that everything is worth something and you'll end up throwing nothing away. Once, not long ago, I was listening to an English translation of an audiobook on organization written by a successful Japanese organizer. She said, that in order to part with items, you had to get to know them, and you had to tell them that you were fond of them, and to make sure to wish them well in the future. Well, I believe that this was at the point in the audio where I almost swerved into an oncoming car from laughing so hard. Now, I mean, talking to plants, sure. Pets, of course. Your kids, well, if it can't be avoided. But talking to an old Ryobi bandsaw is something that I would prefer to do after my certification of insanity. Now, at this point, Javi asked me, "What the hell is that?" referring to my 36-inch, 150-pound Pentium 4 tower. I explained that the reason I kept it was that the software installed inside it is proprietary to my Mimaki 64-inch wide format printer, and that I use it to print banners. And then I realized I haven't owned a Mimaki wide format printer for 5 years now. Instantly, my mind did the first thing it normally does when in fear of throwing something out that I consider of some value, which is, I justify a reason for keeping it. My next statement will be very controversial. I decided that it would be the perfect computer for my new Gatton CNC router build. Now, those CNC router controllers need an old computer with a parallel port installed, and this one fits the bill perfectly. My non-woodworking friends are thinking right now, "Javi, stop making excuses." While my woodworking friends are thinking, "My goodness, that makes perfect sense." Do you begin to understand why I'm short of space? About this time of day, Javi noticed we actually had a wall. Well, one down, 3 to go. Here's another piece of friendly advice from one who knows. Buy only what you need, or less. You see, as a son of immigrant parents whose entire life and possessions was taken from them, and what little they had left they had to leave behind, I was given everything I ever wanted in my youth. My parents worked very hard to ensure, one, that I would have a great work ethic, and two, that I would end up never wanting for anything. While preferable to the alternative, this philosophy exasperates the pack rat gene, as well as what I like to call the Costco syndrome, otherwise known as buying in bulk. See, the flooring you see by me was purchased at a great discount. You could tell because after completing the entire house, I had enough flooring to complete a second home, as long as you didn't mind the 5 different types of flooring in one room. After 6 hours, we were pretty much spent, so, well, Javi was impressed with the work we did thus far, so he started taking a picture of the after of the room and how large it was. So let me pull the camera around, and I'll show you the progress thus far. But this is pretty much it for today. So now you know how I spent my Easter Sunday. We managed to make a huge dent in the unstuffing of the shop, and I'd like to thank Javi Mas once again for all his current and future help. That is, if we haven't irrecoverably ruined our backs. As always, thank you all for watching, and please subscribe. Stay tuned for tomorrow's episode. The rain is coming! The rain is coming! But don't worry, we didn't put the stuff back in the room.